Welcome again to our wonderful program, How to Land My Dream Job, featuring our special guest, T-Mobile, and where they're going to discuss. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having us today. I'm Lacey Craig. I'm a senior program manager here at T-Mobile, and I'm joined by my colleague Lauren.
Hey everybody, I'm Lauren. I am a program manager here at T-Mobile on our military and diversity recruiting team. Happy to be here with you all.
Awesome. And I love it. What's today's topic today, T-Mobile?
So today we are going to talk about creating your own personal brand. So we have a lot of great information to share with you about how to create that personal brand, how to change it over time, some personal examples. So we're really excited to share this with you guys today.
Exciting, exciting. So before we get started, I just want to at least tell you a little bit about our organization if this is your first time on. We're National College Resources Foundation. We are the ones who do the Black College Expo, Latino College Expo. You know us. You can also find us at NCR Foundation on all social platforms. So please look that up at NCR Foundation on all social platforms. If you want to see previous recordings of any of our How to Land My Dream Job and other wonderful virtual experiences that we've also showcased. It's also on our NCRF TV network. That's also in the chat. It's on our YouTube channel. So I'll let our special guest take it away. If you have any questions, please type it in the chat. And you can also reach us at our social media platform or careers at ncrfoundation.org. And I will put that in the chat for you guys. Go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Denise. We'll go ahead and start sharing our screen here. So today we're going to be talking about developing your personal brand. So what does that mean? How do you do it? Where does that show up? Why is this even important? This is such a cornerstone in establishing kind of the direction that you want to go, both personally and professionally. So some really great things that we want to chat with you guys today about. We already did intros, so you already know who you're talking to. But today we're going to be talking about something that might be uncomfortable for some people, is talking about yourself and your own personal branding. This is not always easy. It's a lot easier to describe other things or other people, but not necessarily yourself and what you represent. So we're hoping today to dive a little bit into what is personal brand, why is it important, what can you do to manage it, and then we'll kind of wrap up with, how you can bring it to life in your everyday use. So first, I just wanted to throw in, I love this quote, life isn't about finding yourself, it's about creating yourself. I think that this is so important because, so much of social media is really promoting, going out in the woods and finding yourself, or, going on this trip or doing this and finding yourself. What if you just created yourself? What if you took the time to really understand what's important to you, and how to bring that to life by, doing some of the things that we'll dive into today and creating what that personal brand means for yourself. So what is a personal brand? A personal brand is a couple different things. It's your character, what you represent for yourself to the world, your competence, your charisma, who you are, what you do, and why you're special. Your personal brand only belongs to you and nobody else. So, really taking the time to understand what that looks like is really important. And I love this one too. Jeff Bezos says your personal brand is what people say about you when you leave the room. Think about, how you are leaving yourself and what you're leaving, what impression you're leaving on other people when you are, at a networking event or even just hanging out with friends or family. Your personal brand is really how you're representing yourself and kind of that legacy or that impression that you're leaving on other people, regardless of if it's professional or personal. Your personal brand is left in every dimension that you're a part of. So, talking a little bit about creating your brand or brand you. You want to start by kind of peeling back some layers and understanding and defining What are some of your skills? What do you like to do? This is hard sometimes, and it takes some time to really go back and evaluate and take some intentional time to think about, what skill sets do I have? What do I like to do? What am I really good at? What can I bring to the table? Also, what does the market need? This is in a professional sense. So when you're thinking about creating your brand, especially on social channels, you want to think about, if you're going into, let's say, HR, how does your personal brand match up with what the HR market trends look like and market needs are, so that you can incorporate that into how you show up as a person in that professional sense. So what is needed out there? What do you have to bring that could be an asset to what you're looking for? And then who are you up against? This isn't like a competition. You're not trying to build your personal brand and compete with other people. You're doing it to promote yourself, but it is important to know what you're up against and who that might be in terms of what the job market struggles are. What are some threats or some opportunities that you might be up against when you're creating your own brand? Are you starting your own business? What are some of the other businesses out there that you might be competing with? Are you going into a market that's very competitive in the job market? Who else is applying? Who are some of the people that are in those roles that you can also learn from and leverage as you're developing your personal brand? So doing your homework in this space is really important. Choosing your niche and then finding your voice. So really, what defines you? What are you particularly like amped up about or excited about or love to do? Finding your voice means, really when you're creating your own brand, that balance of what you're feeding in, what people are telling you about yourself, but then also how you want to explain or how you want to be known and representing yourself out in the world. Lauren, anything else to add to this one?
I would just say, when you are looking to create your brand, make sure you sit with yourself and find out the things that you're confident in. Those are going to be the skills that you're really good at. You're going to be able to find your voice doing that, right? When you're confident in something, you're able to present on it. You're able to speak with it with confidence and with this attitude of I know how to do it. I know myself, and so feel free to sit down and really like meditate on it. Think about what you're good at. Look at papers you've written. Maybe you're a great writer. Maybe you're a great storyteller. Maybe you're good at other things like soft skills, like bringing people into conversations, being a team player. Some of those things are skills that you don't realize are skills. And so I really challenge you to sit down, meditate on it, think about what you're good at and write them down and be proud of it too and continue to work on them as you're creating your brand.
Yeah, I think that's great. And Lauren and I were talking about this earlier today too. When you're kind of thinking about creating your brand, it could change and it could be different, both professionally and personally. So, like, my personal brand is very different than my professional brand and what I'm known for, inside and outside of work. And so be okay with understanding that your personal brand may show up differently in both a personal and professional sense. And, what you want that to look like, how you are showing up and what you represent. So when people think about you, what are they thinking of? And this is so hard because I know a lot of people, when they're asked, like, tell me about yourself, the first thing they say is like, I'm a student or I work at T-Mobile. It's always the job. That's not your personal brand. That's where you work. That's what you do. That's where you're getting educated. But your personal brand is deeper than that. So like for me professionally, I'm my personal brand would be in the military hiring and development space. That's where I spend a lot of my time and work. And so, that shows up in my job that I do here at T-Mobile, but it's more my personal brand and really where I'm focusing on and what I want to be known for in the market. So as you're kind of creating this, exactly what Lauren said, give it that thought around what are you good at? What can you bring to the table? If it's something that you want to do, but you're not good at it yet, maybe it's not a skill set that you've obtained. Maybe your personal brand includes being a learner and really going after and striving to be better or enhance those skills too. You can start also by taking a good look at yourself. How many people here, you can raise your hand or come off mute. How many people here have Googled yourself, and what have you found out? Have you found out anything that surprised you? Has anyone Googled yourself before? Anybody? I know I have, and nothing came up that was like life-changing or shocking for me, but it was kind of interesting to see where your name has popped up, like what articles or social feeds. Denise, have you ever Googled yourself?
Well, that's so interesting you said that. Yes, I have Googled myself before, and a couple things popped up that was related to me. But then my maiden name was popping up, and it was a lot of different people named after my maiden name, and then I was getting some erroneous kind of I said, let me check my other stuff because I want to make sure people understood. So sometimes I had to distinguish myself a little bit by putting my middle initial or my married name with the parentheses, then my maiden name in parentheses because other things was popping up to identify myself better.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. That is such a good point, and that's part of your personal brand. When you're Googling yourself, you want to make sure that you understand what your brand is already out there, if you have one. Are you showing up on the internet? How are you showing up on the internet? Where does your name show up? Where if a job seeker or someone in your network searched you, are they pulling up the wrong person with the same name? So you want to make sure that you kind of understand what is already the brand associated with your name or
Director
with
and
you
HR
out
business
there.
partner for BMO. She's director and HR.
Oh, there we go. Also, make sure you're asking others. So, and this isn't just professionally. I know it's so easy. I told Lauren, I'm like, it's so easy to ask for feedback or easier to ask for feedback from like my coworkers or my boss. Like, how did I do on that presentation or how did that look? But it's harder to ask my husband, like, how am I showing up as a wife? Ask my daughter, how am I showing up as your mom or even a friend, a neighbor? Asking others, what their impression of your brand is, or even asking them, what do you think my skill sets are? What do you think I'm really good at? To really help you with that inflection and help you with identifying, how to formulate your personal brand. Because it's hard to evaluate yourself sometimes without having kind of that outside influence. Where do you want to be and where do you stand right now? So really, what are your goals? Where do you want to go? And where are you today? That will help you formulate kind of what that brand needs to look like. If you need to make adjustments, if you already have kind of your personal brand established, just doing that check-in and making sure that that's how it's landing with other people. What else you got on this one, Lauren?
I have two things. First, I Google myself all the time, but also sometimes, and maybe this is weird, but I'll go on my Instagram and be like, how do people like what would someone say about me if they looked at my Instagram? Like what would they think? And I think again, it's just how you kind of put yourself out there because at the end of the day, when you put things out on social media, on Google or whatever, that's your brand. That's what people are gonna see. That's what people are gonna think. And so it's very important to really lock in and see again what you're good at and how you present yourself. On top of that, the second thing I wanted to say is Lacey, I love the point on just asking others for feedback. I think growth starts with humility, and a lot of that humility comes from constructive feedback from our peers, whether we want to hear it or not. And then not only listening to their constructive feedback and not getting defensive about it, but actually implementing it and seeing it from their point of view. That's the only way we can really grow is if we're able to humble ourselves, put our pride aside, and continue to be the best version of ourselves. Because a lot of times, we can be our biggest critic, but we also can be our biggest, most prideful person too, where we're constantly boosting ourselves up, which is great. But sometimes, it's good to humble ourselves, accept the constructive feedback. That way we can continue to build upon our personal brand. That way it's something that you're proud of and you can continue to grow in. And people can continue to look at you and again, want to bring you onto their team or be your friend or whatever the case may be. But those are the two things I just kind of wanted to add.
We
Yeah,
also,
do business with you.
we also have a question from one of our own NCRF. Well, it's just a comment. Go ahead.
No, this is Melanie. I was just saying, I do Google myself all the time. And something that I noticed when I Googled myself, kind of touching on what Lauren was saying too, is that my Instagram page comes up even before my LinkedIn page. And so
Mm.
it's like you would wish or you would hope in a professional setting that, you can manage what comes up first, but you can't. And the social media comes up even before the professional stuff sometimes. So keeping that top of mind is just, yeah, pretty interesting. That's all.
Yeah, Melanie, that's such a good point. And really, like, even going back and evaluating, like, how would people explain me if they just looked at my social feed? Like, what would people say about me or assume about me based on, things that I post or pictures or things that I like and kind of what that social feed is. Because your personal brand showing up whether you're intending to for it to or not. And so it's the story that you're telling other people when you're not able to even promote yourself. And so I love that point. I think that that's really important just to do some checks and balances and say like, all right, how is this coming across to the audience that is even looking into me? Okay, and how does your personal brand come to life? So it can come through in your own domain, social handles, it comes through in your personality, your appearance, your style. Also, you can really evaluate your personal brand by going through a SWOT analysis. If you haven't done this on yourself before, it's so awkward, but very critical and just kind of taking the time to really digest a lot about yourself, identifying your strengths, your weaknesses, opportunities, threats, so that you can really kind of be aware of, where you are, where you want to go. What are some things that could get in your way of establishing the brand that you want? So what are things that have gotten in the way? What are some, negative associations, roadblocks, learning curves, any of those things that you kind of just need to be aware of so that ultimately you can get to where you want to go. And then this just has some of the different social channels that you can really amplify your personal brand on. And we wanted to kind of just highlight here how many employers, job seekers, are reviewing profiles and then also looking at social handles to really verify your personal brand. So when you're thinking about a professional sense, you apply for a job, you have your resume, those employers, 91% of employers are looking on social channels for those candidates and either A, finding them through what they have posted, or B, making sure that their personal brand matches their resume. Because there are some jobs that are going to require a certain level of personal brand out into the world. You're representing the company, you're representing the role that you're doing. And that's really critical in a lot of cases where employers want to make sure that what you're putting on paper matches what's showing up in the world and on the internet. And then job seekers are using social handles to find jobs. And a lot of your personal brand comes through there. Like I said, your resume only gets you to be evaluated. Your personal brand and how you show up to that interview, to that meet and greet, when that networking event, whatever it is, that is your brand and how you're showing up in that moment. And so there are only so many things that your experience can get your foot in the door with or get you looked at, but you're going to have to show up the way that you are with your own brand on getting you the rest of the way of where you're going to want to go. Lauren, what else on this one?
I think you covered it. At the end of the day, you're a walking brand, whether it's through social media, like you said, your personality, appearance, style, you're a walking brand, and you just have to determine how you want to present yourself to other people. And sometimes that switches up, right? If I'm going to a job interview, I probably won't wear sweats or like a sweatshirt. I'll probably wear slacks or something nice, right? And so again, you're a walking brand. And so how you present yourself matters. And yeah, you just have to determine how you want to present yourself, how you want others to perceive you. But I think you pretty much covered it, Lacey.
Yeah, thanks. And just to kind of tune into the appearance part, I want to make sure everybody understands this isn't like a level of beauty or, a
Yeah.
level of personal appearance. It's how you appear in terms of your confidence, your capability, your ability, your adaptability. Those are the things about your appearance that really define your brand, not how you physically look or show up. So, a lot of people have a misconception about that with their personal brand and appearance, but it's do you appear confident, capable, able, all of those things when you're talking about how you're appearing to other people.
I have a question for you too to see how this fits in, especially since you work with veterans. For those people who are transitioning into a different role, a different job that's totally, not what they're used to, how can they switch up their brand so that people have identified them as one? Now they're switching to something totally different. What were your best suggestions for that person?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And it kind of goes back to this question of where do you want to be and where do you stand right now? So if you know that you're here, let's say like you're in HR and that's what you've done, that's what you're known for, all of those things. But you want to go into cybersecurity, which is completely different. But everyone's like, no, that's the HR person. You've done HR. It's about establishing your brand as where you want to go. So even if again, you're not defined by the job that you've done. It's about the characteristics and all of the other things that go into it. And so if you're looking to pivot on jobs, you can start by maybe going on LinkedIn and sharing stories or articles that are relevant to where you want to go, adding in critical skill sets that are translatable into the roles that you're wanting to go into from the place that you've already been, because there's a lot of transferable skills and experience from one line of business to the other. So how do you take them and translate them so that they're relevant to, not discounting what you've done, but really aimed towards the language and the skill set verbiage of where you want to go. Connecting with people, networking with people that are in the field or industry or leaders in the space of where you want to go. So it's very, very like slowly and intentionally shifting that storyboard of, okay, this is what I've done, but this is how the skill sets transfer over. This is what I'm interested in. This is what I'm showcasing, what I'm following, what I'm learning from, all of those things. So if you're in school, highlighting that so that there's a transitional point of, I got this certification or I'm getting this degree. I joined this club. I joined this organization. I'm volunteering in this space. So that you are integrating both the where I am and where I want to go is what I would say. Lauren, anything else to add to that part?
No, I think you nailed it right on.
Cool. All right. Any other questions before we keep going? Awesome. We'll have time for questions at the end too. I just like to throw this in here as a reminder to be yourself. As you're establishing your personal brand, it's really easy to get caught up in the social media of like who's trending, what you should do, what you should be. And again, feedback is a gift that you don't always have to receive, and you have to be ready to receive it when you do. So making sure that when you are integrating in that feedback portion of either coworkers, bosses, friends, family members, any of those things as you're establishing your personal brand, making sure you're also balancing how you're receiving it, what you're going to do with it, and where you go. But don't forget to be yourself, be authentic to who you are, have that clear direction defined of this is what I want for myself, this is where I'm going. And then, integrate in all of the other pieces as you kind of go through. And then be patient with yourself too. Show yourself some grace.
I'm curious, Lacey, which one of these words do our audience identifies with? Like be authentic, yourself, different. These are great words.
Yeah, what do you think, everybody?
I put
Throw
it,
throw a word in the chat.
yeah. I love authentic. Sometimes in social media, it's so interesting. People show like, I'm living this nice life. I got all this great things happening, but they're really, really faking it till they make it, which is fine. But sometimes it's it's a little overwhelming, especially when you meet them for the first time, and the filter is not there anymore.
It's so
Oh,
true.
so let's. I like the authentic you.
Yeah, I agree.
I see intentional. That's beautiful.
Intentional. And if I could add, like, if I could add another word, it kind of goes along with the responsible, but accountable. I think that's important. Like, how are you accountable to yourself? You're the one that's defining you. Nobody else can do that. So they can try, they can give their input, but you establish your brand. So being responsible for that, being accountable to yourself for that, I think those are important pieces to remember too.
You must own these words, everybody. These words are awesome, patient, authentic, for yourself. It's excellent. So yes, we
And
can.
exciting. How exciting is it when you think about how you choose to show up in the world? That is exciting. That is powerful. Yes, I love this. So, just a point of reference of as you're going through this journey, keep these things in mind because this is going to help you get where you want to go. So now we're going to tap into how to bring it to life. You have your personal brand idea. How do you formulate to launch it into the world and establish your elevator pitch? The internet is your vessel for establishing a personal brand. Lauren has some really cool things to share about this, about your elevator pitch and bringing this to life. So Lauren, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yeah. Thanks, Lacey. Yeah, I think an elevator pitch is super important. It's basically like a 1 minute um get to know me, right? When you're doing either a job interview or when you're just meeting somebody in an elevator, right? So when you think about being in an elevator, you're only in an elevator for maybe 15, 30 seconds, right? And let's say you're in the elevator with like a CEO, right? And you want to introduce yourself. You have 30 seconds to kind of tell them who you are. And again, it ties into our personal brand of who we are. And so being able to bring an elevator pitch to life starts with, again, defining who you are at the core, your character, what we talked about at the beginning, what you're good at, right? I saw this really good TikTok of someone saying like at a lot of HBCUs, the first thing they learn is how to introduce themselves. Rather than saying my name is Lauren, they say I am Lauren because I am who I am, right? And so I think it's super important to be able to um, define your character of who you are, define what you're passionate about and where you're headed, like we mentioned at the beginning, and also define like where you want to go, like Lacey mentioned. You can sculpt that into an elevator pitch, into a 30-second, hey, this is who I am. And it makes all the difference. It doesn't leave people think, it makes people want to ask you more questions like, oh my gosh, tell me more about your passion in storytelling. Tell me more about your passion in sports or whatever the case may be. And it's really powerful. And there's something powerful about having obviously your personal brand, but then being able to speak on it as well and keeping it short, concise, and to the point. And so I kind of just wanted to add that in because I think it's something that people miss, especially in a job interview where it's like, tell me about yourself, and they don't know what to say. And so they just define themselves by the job that they're doing currently, but it's so much bigger than that. And so I'll pass it to you, Lacey, if you want to add on to that.
Yeah, I think that's important. And having a pivotal or having being able to pivot from like a professional elevator pitch to a personal elevator pitch, knowing your audience, knowing who you're talking to and how you want to present yourself. Because if I'm doing something outside of work, and I'm talking to somebody or introducing myself to somebody for the first time, I'm not even necessarily going to tell them where I work, maybe like in that first 30 seconds. I want them to know me, not where I work. So I might talk about what I do or what my passions are and what I do and what I love about my life or, what kind of connects me to that event, but also thinking about the evolution of your professional elevator pitch. It's not going to stay the same forever. So your elevator pitch is going to look different when you're a job seeker or you're a student, like looking for that first job, after you get your degree, or, you know, you're professional and your elevator pitch is going to be different when you're talking to your coworkers, or like Lauren said, you're talking to a leader in this space. So kind of having that confidence around what your brand is helps you be very adaptable when you're trying to describe yourself in 30 seconds to whoever, whatever audience that is, because you have the confidence and the ability to just to explain yourself because you know it. You've established your personal brand, how you want to show up. And so you're able to adapt that to whatever audience that you're speaking to. And that's really important, which is why you want to do all of the work in building that, understanding that, putting that together so that then you can formulate it and put it out into the world. Because once you put it out there, that's how you grow it. That's how you continue to get established and get that feedback on, am I aligned with where I want to be based on what I'm putting out and delivering? So a lot to think about here. We definitely covered a lot in terms of the space of developing your personal brand. There's a lot that goes into this. Make sure it's not something that you just check the box, that you're intentional, you take the time, change it, check it, adjust it, all of those things, because as you grow as an individual and are in this space, your personal brand will also grow and develop in this space. So we want to stop now and open it up to the group, see what questions y'all have for us. I'm going to check the chat too to see if we have any questions in the chat. Doesn't look like it.
Not
Any?
yet, but I do have a question for those. Great presentation. We do have a comment, Miss Dion. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a question for our audience. When you guys are experiencing creating your brand and whatever this up to this point, what can you say has been the most challenging thing? Like when you're starting to, yeah, and you can come on onto the screen if you want to talk or just off mute. What has been the most challenging for yourself? Like you can say anything, like maybe you have a new lifestyle, maybe you don't drink anymore and you're not the party girl anymore. Let's just be real. And people know you as that. Or you lost a lot of weight. Oh, yes, go ahead, Dion. Did I say that right?
I did. Thank you. Hi, I am Dion. I did pick up on that, so I will be changing that. But I do have a question. So I am getting conflicting information as far as profile pictures. So on my LinkedIn, I have reverted to using a more casual type of profile picture, but I feel it may be hurting me more than helping me. I am in the process of looking for employment. Um, so I guess that is my question. What is your insight on profile pictures? Do you want to look more, um, I guess, inviting? And that's not the word, but you know, what is the style that you should be looking for? I'm in HR, so it's more of a more professional position.
Mhm. Okay, that was my next question is like, what role are you pursuing right now? Okay.
Yes.
Are you going to level up in HR and go to a different role in HR and do more advancement, or you want to transition to a different company? What is it that
I'm
you're
in
doing?
between. I was laid off from my position from my job. They were bought out. So just in that space of looking to be in that same role, if not advancement.
Okay. Okay. We'll start off with our T-Mobile team.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Dion, for bringing this question up. It's a question that we actually get asked a lot, and I cover this in one of the other learnings that I do with the military spouses. I would say that it really depends on like some of the questions Denise was asking you. It depends on kind of the career direction that you want to go. I know here at T-Mobile, we're very much like hashtag be you is our hashtag. We're very much about being yourself, showing up as your authentic self. And so if you have a profile picture that you're wearing magenta glasses and like you're magentaed out and you have, you know, blue in your hair or, you know, whatever, that's not going to deter us. So I think it depends on the company. So understanding the companies that you're interested in, what their kind of brand or culture expectations are. That's one thing, but then also the level of role, because I will tell you, even here at T-Mobile, while we 100% are hashtag BU, I can guarantee that if you are a director or above, they're going to want to see some professionalism mixed in with that if you're going to be a leader of people, because they're going to want to see you as yourself, but then also how are you going to lead and inspire other people, and how do you show up that way? So I think your profile picture really depends. If you're not getting the feedback that you expected from employers about, how you're showing up that way, maybe take a look at who you're applying with, and maybe they're not aligned with where you want to go ultimately. If how you are presenting yourself is not aligning with the feedback that you're getting, but you feel like that you're being yourself, you're being your authentic self, you might want to go back and look at kind of who you're applying with and the direction that you're going in.
All right. I also want to piggyback on what you're saying. The LinkedIn post is very, very tricky sometimes, because sometimes it can set you up for, people opening up the door and say, I want to know more about you. You have a great picture. My LinkedIn picture does drive a lot of traction. I did that intentionally. I actually put a nice picture, something with, I'm wearing something very colorful, but it's still very professional, and my hair is just coiffed, and I'm looking like I'm ready for business. Strictly Business is my nickname. Okay, so it really does invite people to come on and ask me questions, or see if they want to do business with our organization. So just like Miss Lacey said, I think it will be very important to go onto the company's website on their LinkedIn page and see what kind of pictures are out there for their HR employees. Okay, see what they have out there. They will list all the people who have their jobs and their descriptions on their jobs. Tag them. Once you figure out your picture, play with it a little bit, get some feedback from some other professionals in the same space that you're in. Make them, look at your picture and see if this is a good look, like, oh yeah, I'm interested in seeing that. You don't want to seem too dry and boring, but you also want to seem like you're exciting for the next adventure in your life, but you don't want to be like, like mute, not, inviting. I don't know how to describe that. Hopefully that makes sense.
It
But
does. It does. Yes.
I'll let Lauren if she has something to add, of course.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is doing your research on certain companies and figuring out what their values are. And if those values don't align with your values, it might not be the company for you. I know that's the biggest thing for me, is that integrity is really important to me. And so I don't ever want to not hold my integrity because a company has a different value than I am. I don't want to put myself in that position. And so I will not consider a company or give them my time if their values don't align with mine. And if it comes with like appearance or anything like that, I'd rather know earlier than later, because I never want to be in a position where a company is not respecting, what I look like or who I am. I don't want to do that. And so I would say always do your research on the company and make sure you look at their mission statement and their vision statement, their value statement, see what they're about. And if it aligns with you, great. And if it doesn't, I would look for a company that does.
Yeah, I agree, Lauren. And what I would tell you, Dion, too, is like I have experienced that in my life when I was starting off in my career. It's not with T-Mobile or my last employer, but one of my first employers. I remember I got the job. I was feeling super good about myself. I show up to work. After I was in the role for a couple months, I had a visit from an executive leader, and I was in retail, so I was on the floor all day long, like walking, 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 climbing up ladders, setting up displays, all of the things, right? And this leader told me I was wearing Skechers, but they were professional looking Skechers. Like I wasn't wearing tennis shoes. And I was told that I had to wear heels to work every single day because that's the appearance that the company required of me, that I had to have a certain dress code and heels. And this is what I had to do to show up to work every day. And I thought, okay, I can do that. I'm like trying to work my way up in the company. I'm doing that. Let me tell you, I hated every minute of it, because when you're standing up all day, you're like climbing up things, you're doing all these things. It was so uncomfortable for me. I felt like I had to change a lot about myself and just how I dressed for this job that I ended up hating, because I didn't like how I was showing up every day. I didn't like that I couldn't show up in clothes that were comfortable or shoes that were comfortable with what I was doing every day. And like, needless to say, it was a whole train wreck of other things that were not aligned with me personally. But I would say exactly what Lauren just touched on. Like, if it doesn't feel good to do something or change something about yourself, that in order to fit into it or align with something, the company, the job, like really think about how, how that's showing up for you and what impact that's going to make to your own personal brand, before you kind of change anything about it, is what I would say.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yes, you're welcome. And I also put my LinkedIn in there. So please LinkedIn with me. You can see my picture. It does me justice, but it also gave me a lot of unwanted DMs. How about that? So I put the misses in front.
Right, right.
Let's laugh about it. We do have a question in the chat. Could you give us your elevator pitches so we can, an example of an elevator pitch so we can hear it? I think this was yours, Lauren. You were talking
Cool.
about
Yeah. Okay.
a personal
Oof.
brand statement. Mhm.
On the spot. Okay. I'll give you guys, because again, it changes based on who I'm talking to, but I'll give you guys the one that I do for like if I'm interviewing for a job. So I'll say something along the lines. It won't be perfect because I haven't practiced. I would say, hello, I'm Lauren. I'm a former student athlete from Northwestern University. I studied journalism at Northwestern. I have a master's in leadership. I currently serve as a program manager at T-Mobile, where I help support our retail line of business with recruiting efforts. I have a passion for storytelling. And so whatever job I'm in, I try to bring some creativity, storytelling into it. I also love to impact generations and serve people. And so wherever I can find myself serving other people, that's where I want to be. And I will never compromise my integrity for anything. I really, really keen in on my values and my integrity. It's great to meet you. I'm happy to interview with you. Kind of like that. So that's something I would do. It would be more sharp. I probably wouldn't say as much. Um, but yeah, it will depend on who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to a friend or if I'm talking just to like someone else, I probably wouldn't even say like where I'm working. But yeah, if it's a job interview, I'll tell them a little bit about me, my background, what I currently do, and again, just something about me, my character, and where I'm going, right? And so that's it. That's kind of an example. Lacey, I'll pass it to you and put you on the spot next.
Yeah, for sure. I would say, first of all, Lauren, you did great for impromptu,
Oh,
100%.
thanks. I feel like
Um,
I say it a lot.
I think that you bring up a really great point though, and the only thing that I would say for anyone doing your elevator pitch with someone you're interviewing with, make sure that you kind of end with why you're excited about the opportunity or what you want to do. So like for me, if I was in an interview for, a role, my elevator pitch would probably consist of hello, good afternoon, good morning. I am Lacey. I currently serve as a senior program manager on the military and diversity recruiting team with T-Mobile. My primary role is to focus on underserved communities, primarily focusing on program management and partnership management within the military community. I'm also really passionate about serving that community, volunteering within the military community, as well as outside of work. I do a lot of competitive sports with my dogs. I love running. I'm very committed and passionate about my family. I'm really excited to interview with you today at T-Mobile for this senior manager role on this team, because it's very aligned with what my personal values are and what my professional experience has been. So you could even do something like that.
Oh, good, Lacey. I'm hiring you right now. on the spot.
Yes, landed that dream job. Love it. Very cool. I hope that helps to the question about the
I think it did. Adriana
elevator
was like,
pitch.
awesome. Everything is awesome.
I think too, I want to add too, feel free to like write it down. I when I was in school at Northwestern, like I said, I was a former student athlete, and so we had some resources in our athletic community where they would prep us for things like this. And so I was having to go to workshops and continuously like write my elevator pitch over and over and over again. Obviously it's changed because I'm no longer in school, but write it down, remember it. And again, it helps you kind of figure out, again, what you're passionate about, what you are currently doing, or what you want to do. And so write it down, practice it, say it in the mirror to yourself. It will really help. Again, I haven't done an elevator pitch in a long time. And so it sticks with you though. It really does stick with you if you just keep the same format.
I would definitely suggest that for you guys. It does stay the same, especially if you are in a role for a long time and the scope of what you've done has increased in its like net worth. Like meaning like you started off supporting students in one role in the classroom and now you're running a program and the program is bigger and you're running a department and you can share that scale in how you present yourself. Does that make sense? So that you can show that you have a variety of experiences that led to you interviewing for this position or presenting or consulting for this role, because some of you guys might be thinking like, I don't want to work for the 9 to 5 kind of setup. I want to consult as an educator. I want to consult as a healthcare provider. I want to consult. So think of it at many different levels. You don't have to fit it in too many boxes. Be your authentic self. Like your personality should a little bit come out in a very professional way without feeling like Lacey kind of said her dogs. Lauren was talked about her passion. You know, it has to come out because you might have a connection with somebody. I like to do that because Morgan State, which is HBCU in the East Coast, they do connection. They like to make connections with people. And so it's very important that you have those connections. And then when somebody says something in response to how you said it, you got them, you wheeled them in a little bit. So you want to kind of lean in a little bit more with that and say, oh, do you like that? Oh, wow. What do you know anything about that? Okay. Maybe there's a commonality. And sometimes getting hired is just by, can I work with this person? Can I do this contract? Can I can I connect with them? It's all about personalities, working together in teams or being a part of this brand, so to speak.
Awesome. Any other questions from the group? Very well said, Denise.
Right. So, before we close out, I want to make sure that you guys are aware of just how we support you guys through and through. If you guys are currently looking for positions, T-Mobile, just go on their website. There's plenty. I think you can add that in the chat, or you can go to our website and to our internship and careers page. I'll make sure I put that in there, whichever one you want to do. And there's plenty of opportunities. But if you want to go a little bit deeper to understand what it is that you're trying to do specifically, and you want to have a separate session outside of this, I do have an onboarding session every other week on a Monday, Pacific Standard Time. I'm a West Coast girl, okay? And it's going to be about 6:30 p.m. And so I will send you a wonderful access to that link. And I see there we put our LinkedIn pages and our careers at T-Mobile for those who want to level up. Are there any questions while we're putting these things in here? Okay. And then we're also having another session next week. I'm so excited. Talking more about this, going a little bit deeper, which is networking and LinkedIn, featuring our lovely partners, T-Mobile. Again, we do love working with T-Mobile because guess what? They support us through and through. And so those who support us get the love and sharing presentations. So we do have other guests that are be coming on very soon, but I wanted to share that with you. If you want to find out more information about that, I'm going to give you our website, and I'm just going to click on those pages. Any questions while we're sending things in the chat? Because I want to make sure you guys are totally, no question is going to be like totally off unless. Do we see a question in the chat? Anybody see one?
It was just a comment.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the amazing insight. Wonderful. And then that's our website to our internship and careers page with all our partners, including T-Mobile. And then here's our intake form that I want to give to you guys that can do the onboarding session if you're interested in understanding more. It's a quick form to fill out so that you can get access to the link. It's super simple. And that's going to be held on the 10th. The next one is on the 10th. And if you guys want a copy of this presentation or any other workshops that we have, this is a great opportunity right now because we do have another presentation coming up.